Amidst all of this kind of religious ostracization from being a believer in Albania, the church is growing and people are hungry for the gospel.
Hello, and welcome to the Word in Action podcast from Bible League International. I'm your host, Michael Woolworth. Evangelical Christians make up a very small part of the population in the country of Albania in Eastern Europe. At times, believers face persecution from members of the majority religion. And pastors, they're often bivocational because churches are unable to pay a living wage. Despite these challenges, my colleagues Jason and Anton saw firsthand that the church is growing in Albania. Albania is a Balkan state in Europe that declared itself atheistic in 1967. As the former Soviet Union sought to unite people under communistic rule, they wanted to eliminate religion from society. But Jason and Anton, you two saw in your visit to Albania in January that really spiritual life, religious life is intact among Christians, Muslims, and others there. Talk about what you guys saw in terms of religious life in Albania.
We noticed how much the family unit and how much the traditions of their family play an important role in just everyday life. As we venture outside the city into the rural countryside, into the small towns of Albania, you really see that people are dependent upon each other. Families live together, families support each other, and this plays a major part in just the Muslim influence because as families, you are a Muslim family, and so everybody goes along with what the family does. And you see that play out throughout the culture across Albania. Even though there's influences from the neighboring countries, you just really see the importance of family.
Yeah, Anton, I know you're a student of history, and you would remind us that Albania became part of the Ottoman Empire in this 15th century. That's really when Islam began to take off. And today, about 60% of Albanians are Sunni Muslims. How is it evident that you two were in a Muslim-majority country?
Well, everywhere you travel in Albania, you see mosques and minarets. So the presence of Islam is really visible, especially in the buildings that they have. Like in Tirana, the capital, there is at this time the largest mosque in the Balkans is being built there, right in the center of Tirana, close to the parliament buildings, which is a statement like Islam is dominant in this nation. We are kind of ruling this country. It's not so much in the way people dress like you see in the Middle East. They are a little bit more Western in their clothing. But it's more in the buildings, in the mosques and the minarets and the Quran schools that you see.
Yeah, our focus this month is on the persecuted church. Worldwide, 1 in 7 Christians are persecuted simply for believing that Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life. I mean, that's something that's kind of hard for us in America. Maybe that's true for you in the Netherlands, Anton, but to understand that many Christians, again, live under some type of persecution elsewhere in the world. At times that means that followers of Christ will be rejected by their families and communities. It could mean physical harm or local laws that discriminate against Christians. What levels of persecution did you see or did you hear about from believers there in Albania? Anton?
Well, the first example that comes to my mind is that the pastor that we spent some time with in northern Albania told about a girl who was part of one of their Bible study groups. I think she was 17 or 16. And all of a sudden, she didn't show up anymore. And then they found out that their parents had married her off to a Muslim man and uncle or something like that. Because parents didn't want their daughter to be involved in any Christian activity. So they kind of stopped her from going to the Bible study by just marrying her off. So those girls don't have any rights. They don't have any say in that. So that's just an example of how families, when you turn against the religion of the family, they will definitely reject you or try to persuade you to get back to Islam. Also, the windows of his church has been smashed. They disturb the meetings by making lots of noise during the prayer meetings and stuff like that. There is vandalism to church buildings, not only in the place that we met, but all over Albania. When they have evangelism events, local imams try to stop the people from attending. They even threaten them. a lot of that is happening also in Albania.
Yeah, yeah. One might think that the evidence of persecution, those examples you just gave, Anton, and being outnumbered by a majority religion, like you saw there in Albania, that might mean that the Christian community is weak, it lacks influence. But Jason, you found out the church there is strong. They're reaching Albania for Christ, aren't they?
Yeah, there's amidst all of this kind of religious ostracization from being a believer in Albania, the church is growing. People are hungry for the gospel. People are open to the gospel. The pressure comes in because you need to understand like the economic situation in the rural parts of Albania. The young people are leaving. We're seeing once people get to around college age, they're either going to Tirana or they're going to work abroad. And so the people that are stayed behind are heavily connected and reliant on their families. When someone in the family commits to the Lord, if everybody in the family is good with that, that's fine. But if not, then there's going to be issues. But even with that, you see people coming to church. Their family may not be coming to church, but maybe the husband allows it, and there's an openness and reception, especially among the young people. In the rural areas, there's not a lot of extracurricular activities for young people to do. But the churches there are providing services and events for the young people, and it's attracting a lot of them. So a lot of the times the parents are being influenced through the children because they're seeing the positive change in the child's life. Yeah. It's something that's keeping them out of trouble and keeping them away from some of the negative influences such as, young people are subject to.
Yeah. Anton, what did you see? I mean, we talk about persecution, the suggestion that, maybe the church really is weak, it's impotent, it lacks influence. But as Jason said, you two found out that's not really the case, is it?
No, indeed. In fact, the pastors that we met, they really have no fear. They just go out there, spread the gospel, preach on town squares. The good thing is, and we need to mention that evangelical Christianity is officially recognized by the government. So they are backed by the law. So if an imam comes and says, you're not, I don't want you to preach here in front of my mosque. And then they just show the paper, we have permission from the government. So you cannot stop us. So that helps. But still, it needs a lot of courage to stand upright as a Christian there, and they have that courage. Yeah, I think also because it's in the DNA of the Christians there to help others. So the churches, for instance, there has been an earthquake recently, and churches immediately stepped in and helped people with food, with clothing. Mosques don't do that. So people start asking questions, why are you doing that? Yeah, because we want to share the love of Christ. So that's what attracting people to Christianity, showing the love of Christ. And the pastor that we met really are vibrant in showing the love of Christ.
Yeah, I love that. You two met a Christian couple. I'll throw this out to both of you. This Christian couple, is benefiting from help from Bible League through Project Philip and Bible supplied by us. What they want to do is introduce Albanians to Christ, right, and to disciple them to grow in His grace and knowledge. Both you guys, talk about your experience with this couple. Tell us their name. Tell us just what your experience was like with this couple.
Well, we got to meet Pastor Ergus and his wife Elchiona. And Pastor Ergus is a young man, not even yet in his 30s. God is using him to transform not only his town, where there was previously no church. Now he's established a church there, but in several of the surrounding villages. His wife, both of them work full time. Ministry is their side vocation, but his wife does children's ministry and helps with the ladies in the church. But through this one man who's kind of like a pillar in his community, he's able to now go and take the gospel through Bible League small group Bible studies into the surrounding villages, where there is almost always no church. And so his goal is to set up a church in these surrounding provinces, or in these surrounding towns, so that more people will know the gospel.
Anton.
Yeah, one of the nice features of Pastor Ergus, I think, by the way, he just turned 30. I saw it on his Instagram. That's the site.
Nice.
On the side now. He works as a prison guard because, being a pastor doesn't pay, so he needs to do something besides that. And in prison, it's officially not allowed to preach or to share the gospel. But still, people just notice by the way he acts that he has something special. So they come to him with all their questions, with their concerns, everything that they, not only the inmates, but also the prison staff, they come to him, share their challenges with him, and he ministers to them. So even in prison, where it's not allowed, he is really being a living testimony of Christ. Yeah, that's what typifies Ergus. Amidst all the challenges of life, it's an impoverished country, the things with Islam and all the other traditions that kind of are blocking the gospel from being spread. He always keeps smiling. He has this like a big smile on his face all the time, no matter what happens. He just radiates the love of Christ. And he often goes door to door, inviting people to join the Bible study. And so we were in a town named Bulchees, and there he is now working with two families who live in separate apartments. And we went there, and it was he motioned us to go inside quickly because people were staring down upon us, with suspicion. So the atmosphere was quite negative. But still, he went inside and he encouraged the people, and he was just joyful in Christ, and he didn't have any fear, even in such a situation. And I think that's what's typical for Ergus and also for his wife, Elchona.
Ah, beautiful.
So when we'd go to these visits of people that Pastor Ergus was reaching, we would go at dusk in the evening, and you could see the silhouettes in the windows of the people looking down to see what was happening. So there's very much eyes on Ergus as he does his ministry, but he does it boldly, and he does it carefully, he does it wisely. And as I got a chance to ride around in the car with Ergus as we went to different house churches and different Bible study groups, he would show me as we were driving, I've been to this house, I've been to that house, and he would say, this house rejected me, but this house they let me share the gospel. And he just goes one by one through these villages.
Oh, that's amazing. Church Planter Training is another Bible League program that's at work in Albania. Did you guys see that? Did you see how that's being used, how it's impacting the country?
We saw Church Planter Training and just through the established churches and the pastors that are starting churches in villages that don't have a church yet. And most of the villages and the towns, there's one mosque per town and very seldom a church. Yeah. And so through the Church Planter Training, we were able to see, especially in the eastern part of the country near Pogradesh, we were able to see villages that had established churches, and these pastors knew how to care for the congregation through Bible League's Church Planter Training.
There's one fantastic example of a village where there wasn't even a mosque, but a church planter trained by Bible League had planted the church there. And then there were some Muslim missionaries coming there, and they told the population of the town, we are going to build a mosque here. And then they said, well, we don't need your mosque, we already have a church. So I thought it was a great testimony.
Gentlemen, we have traveled together. Jason, you and I were in Thailand. Anton, you and I were in the Middle East not too long ago. I mean, whenever we travel, our senses are like fully engaged, right? I mean, admiring the beauty of a country, its people, its culture, its history. Anton, you always seem to find a great cup of, strong Turkish coffee or something. But what are some lasting memories that you two left Albania with? Jason?
The food in Albania is amazing, and it's very important when the ministry partners get together that they share a meal and they break bread together. And the mountains in Albania are absolutely gorgeous. It's kind of underrated, but to see these villages with new churches or house Bible studies in the backdrop of these amazing mountains, it's a little bit surreal. But those are just some of the things that stand out just from the day to day. But the hunger for the gospel is evident there, even in a European country, especially outside of the city, to see people that are eager to know more about God's word.
Yeah. Anton?
Yeah, I think the hospitality of the people in Albania is really outstanding. Even though they don't have, actually anything, they are very poor, living in humble homes that are very badly maintained. They warm-heartedly welcome you in, and you need to sit on the couch, and they have coffee for you. They're very hospitable people and very friendly. And also because they realize that you as Western people, take the effort of coming there, meeting with them. That's very encouraging to them, but also for us as visitors. Yeah, that's a great takeaway for me.
Yeah, this is so encouraging today. Again, there's this tendency, perhaps here in the Western world, to think that where there's evidence of persecution, the church must be, weak. It must lack influence. But what you're telling us today is through admirable Christians like Ergus and his wife, Aljonia, that the gospel's going forth. People are living out who they are called to be, even in the most, difficult of places. Guys, in our final couple of minutes together, tell us a couple of ways that we can pray for Christians in the work of Bible League there in Albania.
First, I would ask to pray for Ergus and his wife. There's been some disconnect between some of the evangelical churches, and Ergus has really kind of called for, we need more unity, especially with the evangelism events that they're doing. And, Bible League is providing the Bibles and the training, but even still, financially, they're in a very hard situation just because the jobs in the rural part of the country are they're not really there. So financially, supporting a family and doing ministry with your vocation, Ergus doesn't get a lot of sleep at night. He's on the go, and he's built for that, but he needs our prayers as well. And we just ask for prayer for the unity among the evangelical churches in Albania. It's 1 or 2%. It's not a lot of people, but it is growing, and Bible League is a part of that. But they need our prayers.
Like Ergus, a lot of pastors face economic hardships, so they need to find a job beside their being a pastor, and that's sometimes quite a challenge. So we need to pray for them to be able to make ends meet and still also go out and preach the gospel. And of course, we need to pray for lasting boldness for all of them to stay strong amidst the opposition and the suspicion that's going on, so that they will remain strong witnesses of our Lord Jesus Christ.
Now, those are very important things we can be praying for the church and the work of Bible League there in Albania. It's such an encouragement to hear all that you've shared from your recent trip there. The Lord said, I'm building my church, and He's doing it through bold Christians like Pastor Ergus and his wife Aljonia and many others that you encountered on your recent trip there. Friends, thank you for listening and for supporting Bible League with your prayers and financial gifts. Will you follow Bible League on social media? You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. And you can sign up for our e-newsletter and Verse of the Day and learn more about becoming a monthly sower at BibleLeague.org. That's BibleLeague.org. And let us know how today's program impacted you. Email us at podcast@BibleLeague.org. For the Word in Action podcast, I'm Michael Woolworth.